Happy Friday, everybody. Let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever had something burning in your heart that God told you to do, but you stalled on doing it? You're waiting for the perfect time. You're waiting for the perfect moment, or to have your money right, or to have the right position, or the right lighting, or whatever. You're just waiting for the right whatever. Have you ever experienced that? He put something in your heart years ago, and you still sleeping on that thing? We're going to talk about that today. Hi, my name is Terry. I like to be called the churn auntie. I don't personally have any children, but I have nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephews, and I call them my churn. This is my closet, and today we're going to start our first closet conversation. Now, it's not going to be long because I'm almost 47 and I really don't have all of that air to be talking and oxygen to be talking for a long time. And my niece told me that I needed to be cute, so I put on a cute little blouse and some American Eagle jeans, and I think I got this blouse from like Ross or TJ Maxx or something for like $20. And I know the church folks gonna probably say, oh, she out here in these streets with her shoulders out. You know, I really don't think that's going to prevent me from getting into heaven with my little shoulders out, I don't think the Lord is going to condemn me to hell for having my shoulders out. But I know the mothers of the church might think a little differently, or the old school Pentecostal may say something, or the old traditional Baptist may say that girl ain't saved. She out on these internet streets with her shoulders out. But I promise you, honey, I can preach, pray, and prophesy all in one. But hey, that ain't what we come to talk about today. What we come to talk about is being obedient to God. This morning I had a dream, maybe about 4 or 5 o'clock this morning. Years ago, God gave me something and told me to do. But I told a friend of mine to do it. And it was called Closet Conversations. And most of the time when you're prophetic and that thing is in the atmosphere, you're not the only prophetic person. So other people can pick that thing up in the atmosphere and run with it. And then you going back and looking like, man, I was thinking of that. That's how the spirit realm works. So a few years ago, he gave me the idea of having closet conversations. Just sitting in your closet, having open dialogue. And the concept behind it was, at the time, I thought it was for my friend who owns a boutique. I thought it was for her to have these candid conversations inside of her boutique. Well, she never did anything with it. I told her to do it. She never did anything with it. And now I realize it wasn't for her to do something with it. God gave that to me for me to do, but I was putting it on her. Like, hey, here's a great idea. I think you should do this, blah, 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 blah. And then I seen somebody else, another stylist, doing something very similar, like last year, which I thought was fantastic. But then I thought to myself, man, was I supposed to do something with that? And then I dropped it. So this morning, about 5:30 this morning, in my dreams, and most of the time, that's when the Lord deals with me. I always have prophetic or insightful dreams. So in my dreams, the Lord reminded me that he told me to do closet conversations. Now, let's go back because what actually happened a couple of days ago, I was listening to some old school music. There's another thing that the old traditional church may condemn me to hell for, listening to a little old school. That's another conversation. So I was listening to some old school music, and Keith Sweat, How Deep Is Your Love, came on. And baby, I went to listen to the lyrics. I said, wait, Keith. What you mean you may be young, but you're ready? How old was that girl you was messing with when you was singing that song? And then at the end, he said, you not a little girl. You not daddy's little girl. You a woman. I said, whoa, Keith. And everybody know that song, Keith Sweat, How Deep Is Your Love. Soon as that beat drop, you go to juking. Hey, baby, everybody be doing a little rock to that song. But I started thinking about the words. I said, whoa, Keith, how old was that girl you were talking to in that video? How old that girl when you thinking about when you were singing that song? So I kind of started chuckling. But the Lord brought it back to my remembrance this morning. He reminded me that how much joy I had with just kind of laughing to myself in the car about that song. So he brought it back to me this morning and told me today to do a video. That's why I'm here. Told me to do a video and to start those conversations. Now, we're going to have some serious dialogue, but we're also going to have some fun. So you're going to hear me talk about just life experiences. We may talk about fashion. We're definitely going to talk about our faith. And we're just going to talk about real issues that most people, especially in the Black community, keep trapped in the closet. They don't want to talk about those things. Some of those things are taboo, or they haven't said anything to family members. Well, this is where we're going to have this safe conversation inside of our closet. We're coming out of the closet having these conversations. That's what we're going to do. So hang tight with me. We're going to possibly do this every Friday. I'm going to try my best to do it every Friday. I'm not going to be before you long, but I do want to talk real briefly about being obedient. What does that really consist of? Because I really think today was all about me being obedient, obeying God's voice and telling me what to do. And no, I had no thought into this. I had no preparation into this. It was getting a light from my sister, getting this stand from my sister, and my niece setting it up, and me getting in front of the camera. This is not edited. This is not scripted. I am wearing Invisalign, so you might hear a little every now and then. This is real life. And I think this is what people need to see. This is not some fake, some phony, some put on the show, put on for the city type situation. This is real life. And this is me in a candid space where the Lord told me to be obedient. And now, at 46, almost 47, I am just now walking in that true obedience of doing what he said do when he says to do it. And it may not look right like how you think it should look. You may not have what you think you're supposed to have, but it's really all about a divine alignment and you doing what he say. That truly is what obedience is. You heeding the voice of the Lord when he speaks. The importance of aligning with God's will. And most people don't really know what God's will for their life because they're still living in their own bubble of what they think their life should be. That's another conversation. Why do we put these stigmas on our life or these timelines on our life on where we're supposed to be based off what? Something somebody told you? Something you visually seen that may have been toxic. Look, somebody call on my phone. Something that you may have experienced that really wasn't a good experience. Think about it. It may not have been a good experience. It may not have necessarily been the life that you were supposed to have. You just thought you were. You thought you were supposed to have that life. You thought you were supposed to do this certain thing. You thought you were supposed to live this certain way. But that may not be what God wanted you to do. And then did he tell you to do something that you just blatantly did the opposite? Obedience is better than sacrifice. And disobedience is truly an expensive lesson. How much is disobedience costing you right now? Think about that. And that's where we go close out today. How much is disobedience costing you? What are you sacrificing to intentionally disobey God? Think about that. All right? I'm glad to have you with me. I'm excited. I hope to see you next week. But I want you to think about that. Disobedience is an expensive lesson. And at what point are you going to be tired of paying? All right? Till next time, give yourself some grace and put a smile on your face. It's the children auntie here. We'll talk soon.